Hello, this is Teresa with a new video tutorial for Dare to Be Artsy. I'll be showing you how to create this cute interactive mailbox card with just simple dies, pattern paper, and a sentiment stamp. So I did a test run with this die ahead of doing this video just to see how this worked, and it is really pretty easy to do. So I'll show you how this comes together. I'm pulling out the pieces from this mailbox set because it does come with some additional dies. Today I'll actually only be using two of them. I'm using the mailbox die and the little flag. I didn't use the stand or the letter from this, but they're also in that same set if you decide you want to add some different elements on a different project. So I'm cutting out the mailbox first from this silver metallic paper, and when it comes out, what you'll see is that this die not only cuts, but it does do some pre-scored lines for you so that it's easy to see exactly where to fold it and glue it together. As you see, I'm cutting out the mailbox flag as well as the stand, but I don't use the stand on this project. Next thing I'm going to do is to create another interactive element with the little flag by using this little tool to poke a hole through the paper. And then I have a tiny brad which I'll put through the little hole and then through the mailbox piece. And it's important to do this before you glue it all together, because then once you glue it together you can't do this. And as you can see, I'm using this tool to kind of curve the edges of the brad so that they're not completely flat against the paper, and that allows the flag to move freely. And now that I have that done, I'm going to fold everywhere that's been pre-scored, and I'm going to fold it to the inside and use my bone folder to reinforce it a bit. And it looks like you could actually add adhesive and then just put it on the back of this, but I'm choosing to do it this way by adding 1/8 inch score tape so that the folded edges are going to be inside, and I just think this is a neater way to do it as far as how the overall appearance is. It also seems like it would leave a little more room for the gift card that's going to be put inside of this. However, if you were not going to use a gift card, you probably could just cut off those flaps and glue it flat down and not have to do this step. But that's the whole point of having something so cute like this. I mean, Christmas is going to be upon us before you know it. And if you're thinking about all those different people you may be sending gift cards to and a Christmas card, I mean, this is a great way to combine both those things because it makes it far more interesting for the recipient whenever they get a fun card like this, that there's a gift card surprise right on the front, and you kind of kill two birds with one stone as far as your gift card and Christmas invitations. And now that I have the mailbox put together, I'm ready to start working on the rest of the card. I will be using some pattern paper from Dare to Be Artsy. And one of the cool things about this paper, or the papers that I've seen so far, is every one of them is patterned both on the front and back of the paper. The one I'm using today is called Pomegranate. And by the way, if I didn't mention this before, I will have links to all the supplies that I'm using below in the video description. So check that out if you're interested in purchasing any of these items. So anyway, back to the card. I'm using some framelits dies, also from Dare to Be Artsy, and I'm going to use both pieces of this paper. I mean, typically a lot of people may cut a frame or a piece and discard the rest of it, but today I wanted to show you how you can take full advantage of a pattern paper like this that has a pattern on both sides that has a coordinating color like this one does. So I just literally flipped the frame on the opposite side, and I'm adding some liquid glue because this will allow me some time to move it around and make sure that it is square with the edges of the card. And you'll see how that's definitely a good thing, because at first I don't get it on there straight at all and have to wiggle it around until it is perfectly in line with the edges at the top and the bottom. Now, if you used a bigger card size, you could also leave some white card allowance around the edges, but I chose to just make it fit exactly to the front of an A2 card. Now here I'm going to pop up the center panel, and I'm using some fun foam that has adhesive on one side, and I'll peel that liner off the back of it and put it on the back of that pattern piece of paper. And then I'll use my liquid adhesive again on the foam before I put that piece back on the card. I just decided it would look more interesting overall if there was a little more dimension on the card. Even though I do have that interactive mailbox, to me this just looked far more interesting than if I had just glued it down flat. And now I place the mailbox there, but don't glue it down immediately, just to get an idea of how much room I have for a sentiment. And I'm using the You've Got Mail stamp set, and I'm going to use the sentiment, a gift for you, to put on the front of this card. Now, I just picked up my mini MISTI, and I use the mini MISTI, or actually my MISTI, a lot to stamp sentiments, just because, one, it helps me keep from making a mistake and stamping things crooked, and also I tend to have this ability to drop blocks right after I've inked them. I just drop them on the paper and screw everything up and then have to start over. So I depend very heavily on using the MISTI. It just makes things so much easier. And if you mess up stamping, of course, you can always stamp it again. So as you can see, I stamped this in VersaFine ink. I added clear embossing powder and then heat set that. Added some liquid adhesive and put it towards the bottom of that center panel. And once I remove all the backing on that adhesive on the mailbox, then I add that part of it and slip the gift card inside, and there it is. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and if you leave a comment or thumbs up, I always appreciate those. Thank you so much.